Welcome to the Personal Trainer Hustle. Personal Trainer Hustle. If you didn't know, you do now.
Welcome back to the Personal Trainer Hustle podcast, you guys. Today's episode is influenced by something I saw on social media earlier today. As soon as I saw this, I was like, this is something that we need to discuss. So I'm going to read to you guys what this meme said. And I think that a lot of people believe in this, right? So this was actually reposted by somebody on a thread here. It has 96,000 likes as I took the screenshot of this, right? So 96,000 likes on this post. And I think it's very important for us to discuss what this means, the dangers of believing in this, and also the truths in believing in this, right? So nothing is black and white. And so we're going to get into it. So I'm going to read to you the meme that I saw. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, you can see there's a picture of a tired, what's this guy? Bugs Bunny, right? An old Bugs Bunny cartoon, and he's just tired. And it says right above it, it says, never allow your place of employment to wear you out. Don't give everything you have to a job that would replace you in a heartbeat. And like I said, 96,000 likes plus, just over. So that inspired me to talk about how much truth there is to this, right? As someone who has been an employee and now I am an employer, I just want to give you guys the 5 big reasons that I came up with today, right? I was like, what are some reasons why hard workers fail? So that's today's episode. 5 reasons why I believe hard workers constantly find themselves not achieving and feeling like they're worn out, feeling like they're giving everything. And we develop this thought process, or we develop this culture of, just like the meme says, right? We feel like we give everything to a company that is not going to reward us, that is not seeing our hard work, is not seeing our dedication. And in the end, they would just fire us and replace us. And to some degree, some big corporations sometimes function like this. But today's episode, I'm going to tell you, over the last, 14, I think, years I'm coming up on being in fitness, in personal training, I've seen a lot of people come and go, and I've also seen a lot of people succeed. And so today I want to talk to you guys and get you guys to think about what may be going on. Why do you feel this way? And hopefully you guys can have an open mind, because at the end of the day, this is what I'm going to say about this mindset, right? So this is the big danger with believing this type of mindset, right? Believing that if I give everything, I shouldn't, because all they're going to do is replace me. They're going to take me for granted, right? So as the meme says, never give them, what does it say? Let me read it one more time. Yeah, don't give everything you have to a job that would replace you in a heartbeat, okay? So the danger with believing that is that nobody that believes that ever achieves anything. That's the big danger, even though there may be some truths to it. The issue with buying into that wholeheartedly, and I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat as we start today's episode, the issue with believing that, the issue with subscribing to that type of thinking, is that now there is no dream. Now there is no growth potential. Now there is no reason to give it my best, right? Because I've already decided that no matter what I do. And so what happens is, you're going to create the reality that you've first believed, right? So why would somebody promote someone who no longer gives it everything they've got, right? So you've decided your future the moment you decided, I'm not going to give it everything I got. The moment you do that, any chance you may have had, now maybe they would have taken you for granted, maybe, but any chance you would have had to ascend in the company has immediately been eliminated in that moment. So now you'll never know the truth, because now any chance you had no longer exists. And so now you 100% guaranteed that nothing good is ever going to happen. And that's the danger with that. Now, Like I said, it doesn't mean that sometimes we don't get taken for granted. Some cultures are not good cultures. Some companies are just, they'll hire anybody. But I want you guys to pay attention, because even that truth may be solved with these next things that we're going to talk about today. Okay. So we're going to jump into the 5 reasons that I have seen over the last 14, 15 years that I've been in fitness, why I see hardworking people not get the result that they want. Right. And I'm going to assume that these people are the people that feel like they gave it everything they had and it still didn't work out for them. They were still overlooked, right? And so this is a big thing that happens a lot. So let's get into it. So number 1, just because you give something everything you have as far as time and energy and hours, right? You're really working hard. It doesn't mean that you actually have skills and that you are creating efficiency in what you do. So what that means is that you may not realize that because you're not being efficient, because you don't have skills, you are someone who works really hard when you actually don't have to, right? And so you're doing it to yourself because you don't have the skills. So I'm going to tie it to, my experience as an employer, right? One of the big reasons that I see that holds even trainers that have been with me for, whether it's a short time or a long time, one of the reasons that I've seen trainers be held back even in my company is that they work really hard on showing up for sessions, right? They do a lot of training sessions and they believe, I'm busy, I'm training a lot of people, or I'm here all day, right? I'm prospecting, I'm here all the time. We're buddy buddy, we're great. Like I can see that this is going somewhere. Why isn't it going anywhere? One of the reasons it may not is because you're not somebody that has enough solutions for the company, for the clients. You're inefficient with your time, right? Maybe you're taking 2 hours to complete something that should only take 30 minutes. So to you, it feels like you did a lot of work today. It feels like I did so much. I was here for 3 hours working on this project. But you know what the manager might say and think is, why does this guy or this girl take 3 hours to do something that should take 30 minutes? And so you see how now what the employer sees and what you see are two different things. So, of course, if you take 3 hours to complete something, of course, you feel like you're giving the company everything and they're not rewarding it. What you don't see is that the company sees you as inefficient, that you're taking too long to complete the project. You're taking too long to sign that person up. You're taking too long to hit your goal, right? You've been with the company for a year and you're still hovering around the same amount of clients. You feel like you're working hard, but the reality is the company's like, you should have twice as many clients by now. What's going on? Maybe you don't have the skills. Maybe you don't have the efficiency to be successful. And so a lot of people, because we stop learning, we stop growing, we stop asking questions, we don't go to the managers and say, hey, what do you think that I should do differently? Right. Because that would hurt our egos. We begin to distance ourselves from the people that hold the keys to the next step in our process. And so that's something that I thankfully learned early on. One of the best things I ever did, and I'm going to give you guys this advice, one of the best things I ever did was begin to ask people that were ahead of me what they did and what I should do differently. So I would go and talk to the manager. I would go and talk to trainers that had been trainers for 10 years and say, hey, what did it take? What's your story? Right. I would almost interview them and they would say, well, in the beginning, I was just like you, dude. I had 2 clients for a few months. And, it wasn't until I realized this. And now you're picking up skills to be more efficient so that you can begin to move forward. So, do you actually have the skills that you think you have? And are you actually efficient in what you do? Or are you someone that's taking too long to do something or don't have the skills to solve issues for the company? Right. So, we're going to keep it to personal training because different companies may have different ways of working, right? So, a company that sells cars, this may not be true, right? Or it may be more true. So the examples that I'm giving you are specific to you guys in personal training. So if you don't have the skills to train multiple people, maybe that's holding you back, right? So you've been training for a year, but half the clients don't sign up with you or they don't renew with you. And so you're kind of stuck. But you're like, man, I've given everything I have for a year. What's going on? I would say maybe you don't have the skills to be more successful, to get a promotion, to get a raise. You don't have the skills, or you're just wasting too much time working hard, but not working efficiently, right? People say like work harder, not smarter. I would say that's not entirely true. You have to work hard, but you also have to work smart. And that's the part. It's not one or the other, it's both. And a lot of things are both, right? Like today, the five things that I'm going to talk to you guys about, it's all of it. It's not just this. It's not just that you have to have skills. It's not that you just have to be efficient. It's going to be everything combined that you should be thinking about at least so that you can be more aware as to why maybe things aren't working out. And so one of the big issues with hardworking people that feel like they've given a lot to the company and they're not getting the reward back, sometimes they haven't stopped and thought and asked themselves or asked the manager, what is going on here? Because for me, I could tell I have told trainers like this is a conversation I have with trainers all the time. I go, hey, what if a client comes in and they want to do powerlifting, Olympic lifting, and all you know how to do is mountain climbers and burpees for like weight loss people, right? Or what if somebody says, I just had lower back surgery, but I want to start walking again. I want to get to jogging again. If all you know how to do is bicep curls, then it doesn't matter how hard you work, you don't have the skills to provide the solution. And therefore, your manager is going to say, well, this client, I can't give you this client, or this client, I don't feel comfortable the way you're training them. Like it's not good enough for the business to succeed. So it could be the skills, it could be the efficiency. That's number one. Number two, this is a very, very difficult personal one. Sometimes it's just your attitude. It's just your attitude about life, your attitude about the gym, your attitude about your clients, your attitude about the world that is holding you back, right? I don't know if you know this, but most people don't like to give opportunities and to negative people, right? So if you're a negative energy who always brings the energy of the gym down, who always complains, who always has something bad to say about the gym, just think about this logically. Why would anybody want you to be in charge of anything? Why would somebody look at you as an example? Why would somebody say, "Oh, this person I am going to, give them a raise so that they can be in charge of this project?" Because they know if you complain in the little, you're going to complain in the big. And this is an old biblical lesson that I learned, growing up, right? Which is, the more responsible you are with what, in the biblical sense, right? The more responsible you are with the things that you're given, the responsibilities that you're given, the more you're going to have given. The less responsible you are, the less you show you can handle it, the less you're going to be given. It just kind of goes in that direction. Now, I may be misquoting it a little bit, right? I'm not, deep in my Bible knowledge, but from what I remember, that was like a basic kind of lesson, and it applies here, right? If you can't handle two clients because you're complaining about two clients, how am I ever going to help you get to 10 clients, right? If your client, every time you show up, all you do is complain about your life, complain about your pay, complain about your coworkers, complain about your family, why would they want to stick around when all they get, like if they wanted to hear about problems, they would just stay home and deal with their own problems, right? So, again, right, what's the point of today's episode? A lot of people work hard, they show up, they're giving it their quote unquote best, but they don't see that they're negative people, that they have a negative attitude, that they're not likable, right? So, like, this is something we've talked about with Sean, right? A lot of people want to be leaders, but to be a leader, you have to deal with a lot of personalities. So, if you don't have your mindset right, if you're not positive, if you don't know how to regulate how you feel when somebody does something, when somebody says something, when somebody backstabs you, when somebody, you hear them saying something or doing something, if you can't regulate that, you cannot be a leader of other people. And so you're sitting there saying, I've been in this company for this long. I gave it everything I had. Why am I not getting ahead? Why am I not getting the opportunities? It could be as simple as People don't like being around you. That's it. Because being likable and having a positive attitude or having a negative attitude have nothing to do with how hard you work. So you could be a very hardworking person that's at the gym 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, but people are avoiding you because even though you're giving it a lot of time and a lot of energy, maybe, right? Maybe you fixed the previous thing that we talked about, skills and efficiency. Maybe you have that, but without being able to get along with people, without being able to get along with management, with other coworkers, you are holding yourself back. And so, again, what happens? We turn around and we look at the company and we say, they don't want to reward everything I've done for them. They do, but they can't reward a bad attitude, right? Think about a kid, right? You can't reward a bad attitude. A kid throws a tantrum. You can't turn around and go, hey, good job. Here's a candy bar. Hey, good job. We're going to go to Disneyland tomorrow. I really liked how you threw the flowers all on the floor and how you threw the food off the table. I love how you did that. It was so great that you behaved terribly and you told your little brother that he was stupid. I'm going to reward that with something good. It's not going to happen, not if you're logical, not if you're capable of reason and wisdom and common sense. It's not going to happen. So I've seen a lot of people throughout the years be held back simply by their negative attitude, right? So you have to work on that. Now this is a slippery slope because here's the I guess like this the heartbreaking part of having a negative attitude, that it's a never-ending cycle and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what happens is if you're someone who has a bad attitude, you probably get less opportunities. And when you get less opportunities, it only solidifies your anger at the world. It only solidifies your dislike. And so now it grows deeper into your soul, into your psyche. And so now you treat your family in a certain way, and then your family treats you in a certain way in return. And now that further cements what you thought you believed. And so now that anger, that resentment, that negativity, it's more and more justified. But what negative people don't realize is they are the ones that are creating this perpetual cycle of negativity, because the way you present to the world, it's going to present back. And so if you do that, you come into a job and something happens and you retaliate with a negative thought, with a negative word, with a negative behavior, you're only now assuring that nothing good happens, which then cements even deeper into your mind that it's not worth it. And then you become more resentful and more negative, which then gives you more problems, which then again makes you more upset and more of a gives you more of a reason to have a bad attitude about life. So I'm telling you that so you can kind of think about how you think about the world and realize you might be your own worst enemy because you are so far down this path of negativity that you're going to have to start doing a lot of work to get back, right? You're going to have to start doing something kind for someone, say something positive, and just work at it. Because, again, right, if you expect, oh, okay, tomorrow I'm just going to be nice to everyone, they haven't forgotten, right? And also, these things take time. Just like becoming a negative person takes time, becoming a positive person takes time. And for them to believe that you've really made a change takes a time. So I always say, just like fitness takes a long time, you can't just decide tomorrow I'm going to work out and magically be fit and everybody's going to see how fit I am. It doesn't work like that, right? You decide, you start working, you do it for a long time, and then inevitably people notice. Inevitably you make the change. So just be careful. You may be your own worst enemy. And so those of you guys that this isn't your issue, I know that you know what I'm talking about because you meet negative people. The negative person does not realize that they're negative. That's the sad truth and the sad the danger in becoming this person. So for those of you guys that are teetering in that, like, I know I should be positive, but I have these negatives, do not let the negative thoughts win. Do not let that negative attitude come out. It will not serve you. It will not serve you. And at the end of the day, you will have lived a life that was not as vibrant, as happy, as fulfilled as it could have been if you would have just changed your attitude about things, right? So you may be your own worst enemy. And again, we don't see it, right? We don't see why people don't give us credit for the hard work that we've done. It might just be your attitude. So number 3, we work hard with no plan and no goals. So this is again a personal thing. If you don't have goals, if you don't have a plan, then you won't know why you're working hard, right? So eventually you'll feel like they're just taking advantage of me. This isn't going anywhere. Why should I do this? When you have goals, you realize everything that I do is going to serve me. I'll give you guys a little story, right? The way that I got to the point of opening up my own gym happened because I followed this rule, right? When I worked, I started like everyone else. I worked at a company. What I did differently than a lot of people is I decided to be a great employee for the benefit of me, not so much the company, even though the company was going to grow, and the company was going to like that. I decided if one day my goal is to be the boss, then I have to learn every part of how this works. And so I had to learn how to sell. I had to learn how to renew. I had to learn how to get a referral. I had to learn how to get along with different types of people. I had to learn how to sell to different types of people. I had to learn how to market myself in the gym. I had to learn how to get along with my boss. I had to learn from my boss what it really takes. I had to learn from my boss what he sees in hiring new trainers and firing new trainers, right? So, how does he do it? What matters to him? I started learning from him. I had to see my potential. That's another big thing, right? Once I started selling a lot of packages, once I started being popular in the gym, once I saw that all my hard work pays off to a certain degree within the company, when I saw that, I was like, I think I'm developing the skills to be my own boss and to be the boss of other people and to be a leader of other people, right? But I had to see it through in order for me to build a confidence. But what had to happen in all that? I had to believe that something good was going to come out. I had to believe that all of this time and energy that I gave another company was not wasted. It was used to develop me, because the skills that I developed, no one can take them away from me, and they have more value than just a paycheck. Because with my skills, I can start a gym, I can sell a package, I can create an ad, right? I can sit across from somebody and sell a personal training package. I can now, because I've kept growing, right? Sit down and work on a website, work on some advertisements on social media. I'm developing my skills constantly, even if there's no paycheck attached to it, because no one can take away your experience and your knowledge. If you think that the company's going to take advantage of you, you're not going to try hard enough to realize what your potential is, right? So you have to have the goal way out there for all of this to have more value than just the money that they're paying you, right? You have to be a great employee to eventually be a great leader. If you give up on being a great employee, then you've given up on the potential of being a great leader, right? Or getting a raise or getting a promotion, whatever comes next. If you don't have the goal of what's next, then of course you're going to feel just like the meme, right? I give and I give and I give and I don't get anything. You don't get anything because you're not thinking about where this is going, right? You're not thinking about your goals and the plan for the future. But if you make even a small plan like, hey, my goal is to have 10 clients. Sure, I'm getting paid maybe less, but I'm going to show that I can do this. And then my goal is to learn to get a referral from those clients. And that way I can show my company and show myself that not only can I train these people, but I can get them to refer me to other people. And that increases the value. And so when you have that value, um, then you're going to be valuable to the company. I'm trying to look at my notes here because I don't want to skip ahead. But as I'm saying that, I actually want to cover a very important topic here, and that is that the reason why you need to grow, even if the company grows because you grow, that's actually a great thing. But here's the misunderstanding that people don't have, is that you need to be very difficult to replace, right? That, and I should have opened with this statement because this is actually the big truth about everything that we're talking about. And maybe we'll tap back into this point once I'm done with the 5 points for today. But everything that I'm talking about today and the next points I'm going to make, it's all to become more valuable. Why? Not to get the company to make more money, but when you are valuable, the company loses money if they lose you, right? So if you're valuable enough, the company will find a way to compensate you, but you have to generate money in order for that to happen. And not just money, but you have to, all the other things, have a positive attitude, be likable, get along with your coworkers, get along with your managers, have the skills, have the efficiency. When you have everything working, this is what you have to realize. And this is the position that you have to put your manager or your director, the business owner. This is what people don't understand. Your job as an employee is to put people in a position where they don't want to lose you, where it hurts them to lose you, right? But if you don't, then even if you sit down across from them and ask for a raise, they're going to look at you and say, "Hey, I can't do that." Why? Because I don't think you're valuable enough for me to do the thing that comes next. You're not there yet, right? You are where you are because that's the value. Now, even if the manager is wrong, right? Because that happens sometimes, maybe the manager just doesn't see it. That's okay because you've developed the skills to go on and show that you have the skills to be a leader, right? To get a job at another gym that pays you more, to get a job at another gym that has, better benefits or whatever, or that has a higher, esteem in the community, right? They have a bigger reputation, or you can start your own private practice, right? But how could you do that if you didn't take the time that you had to develop the skills? So this is what I'm saying. When you have a plan for the future, everything works in your favor because either the company is going to find ways for you to ascend or you developed the skills to go off and do something else. It's a win-win for you. That's why this attitude of this post, never allow your place of employment to wear you out. Don't give everything you have to a job that would replace you in a heartbeat. They won't replace you in a heartbeat if you have value. The only people that get replaced easily are the people that don't have enough value. Because if you had the value, like I said, I'm going to say it one more time. Either the company that you're at will find a way to increase your potential, right? Your pay potential. They're going to find a way to have you grow, or a competing company is going to find a way and give you the opportunity, or you're going to go off on your own and do it. But here's the reality. Most people that complain that don't do the things that we're talking about today don't have the skills to grow in a company, don't have the skills to get a job somewhere else that pays them more, and don't have the skills to start their own company, right? So that's the issue when you subscribe to that type of thinking that I read to you guys when we started the episode, that I just read again. When you subscribe to that type of thinking, nothing good is going to happen. Now, again, if a company is abusing you, right? They're abusing you in taking advantage of your skills and your time and your knowledge and your hard work, then prove that they are by taking your skills somewhere else and showing that company, this other company values who I am. But here's the harsh reality. Most people don't do that because the other opportunity isn't there, because the hard work and what they deserve is all just in their imagination. Okay. At the end of the day, like we used to say when I was growing up, beggars can't be choosers, and the proof is in the pudding. And I feel like we need to go back and teach this generation some of these little phrases we grew up on, right? People my age that we grew up on, because they taught you how the world actually works, right? The proof is in the pudding, right? If it's good and it's there. Beggars can't be choosers. You keep asking for something that you don't deserve, it ain't going to happen for you. It's just the way it is, right? So just little sayings for those of you guys that may have never heard those before. Maybe you guys are of a younger generation. It's all going to work out for you if you do always give it your best. And obviously the other things we talked about today, because like I said, maybe you are giving it your best, but there's other things that you're failing to see that are going to hold you back. So I just wanted to make sure that that was said, because it's not going to take you anywhere to think that way that we're talking about today, right? So reason number 5 that I've seen hard workers fail is simply a misunderstanding of what hard work is. Okay. So you may think you're working hard, but do you really know that? Is your definition of hard work the real definition of hard work? Right. So this may be simply a misunderstanding. So this is an example, and I just gave it to Sean this weekend. We sat around and we talked for a while, and I gave him this example that I thought of a while ago, because I had a friend that was saying, people work hard and hard work doesn't pay off, and da 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 da. So we were having a similar discussion to what we're having today, right? And this friend, I said, okay, you're a runner. I said, what if I told you I want to run a marathon too? And so we what time is it? Okay, just checking the time, y'all. So I said, okay, if I want to run a marathon with you and you say, okay, tomorrow we're going to go and train, we're going to start the first day. And if I just ran one block, right, being in the shape that I am, if I just jogged one block and I said, dude, I gave it everything I got, I think that's it. I said, what would you say to me? You would say that's not enough. You're not giving everything you have. You think you are, but you're being lazy. You think you are, but you have excuses. What you're thinking and the way you're behaving right now does not align with the goal that you just told me that you had of running a marathon, right? You would assess the situation and you would say, did he really give her everything he got that he has? Or is he thinking that he is? Or is he lying? Or is he making excuses to get out of it? So I said, because you actually know what it takes, because you've done it, I said, you can look at somebody and say, that's an excuse. You're not working hard enough. I know what it takes. So this happens a lot too with work. The manager may not be taking advantage of you, may not be working you to the bone. The manager might just be telling you what it actually takes to run this marathon called becoming a successful trainer. So how do you know? You only know if you attain success. All the people that never got successful as trainers don't actually know what it takes. They don't actually know if they worked as hard as they needed to or as hard as they possibly could. They don't know that, right? It may be as hard as you can, sure, but your definition of hard work might not be the hard work that it actually takes to achieve, right? It's something different. Like I told Sean, people want to have muscles, but the moment they feel that burn, they put the weights down. That's not the formula to success in building muscle and building strength and building up the size of your musculature. That's not what it takes. But if you ask that person that went to the gym with you that stops after a few reps with 5 pounds, they would say, well, I gave it everything I got. It wasn't for me. I guess it's not in the cards for me. How do you know that? How do you know that if you've never gone all the way? Right? I always tell people this. This is how I live my life. And if you guys can find any motivation or maybe a paradigm shift in what I'm about to say, I hope that it does. Years ago, I was dating someone. We were driving through a very, very wealthy neighborhood. And I looked around, there were beautiful houses. And I said, man, I'd love to have one of these houses. That's my goal, right? My goal is to develop a business, grow, and have this. And she said, well, they may not let us have something like that, right? She is a minority. I was a minority. And I looked at her and I said, I will let you know when they tell me no. Because again, the mindset is, how can I know? How can you quit before you even find out? Am I just going to take somebody else's word for it? I don't know if they have a bad attitude. Maybe their credit is bad. Maybe they have a bad attitude when they talk to people, right? It may not be about race or it may not be about gender. It might simply be a personal issue. So, yeah, maybe they denied that person something. I don't know what their issues is and why not, right? There's been Latino people that come and apply at my job. I go, no, that's not going to work because it's not just about how you look or where you're from. It's about who you are. So I don't put other people's reasons or excuses for my own reasons and excuses, right? I will find out when I reach it. Okay. How can I know they're going to deny me this house? If I have the credit, if I have the money, if I have the reputation, if I have the sales skills, if I know the right people, if I hire the right people over time, how can I be denied? Maybe I will. I'll know the day they tell me no. Until then, I cannot subscribe to that type of thinking because it does not serve me. I've given up on something before I know it to actually be true. Now, if it turns out to be true, that's fine. I'll deal with it. But until then, and the point that I'm trying to make here is the misunderstanding of what it takes, right? Point number 4 is the misunderstanding of hard work. And it applies to a lot of things. You're misunderstanding what it actually takes to succeed. That might be the issue. You might feel burnt out. You might feel like you're working too hard. But that might be according to your standards, not the standards of what it actually takes, right? So going back to the example of the marathon, running a marathon takes what it takes to run a marathon. You don't get to change the rules. You don't get to complain. You don't get to shorten the distance and say you did it anyway. The goal is the goal. How you go about achieving that goal is up to you. And whether you have what it takes to persevere is completely up to you. But it takes the same amount of steps for everyone, and roughly the same amount of steps, roughly the same amount of training, roughly the same amount of pain, the same amount of discipline, the same amount of nutrition, the same amount of time for everyone that completes it to complete it. Roughly about the same. You can't change that. And we live in a society, unfortunately, where we keep convincing people, we keep convincing the next generation that it's not that. It's that the goal is too big. The goal is too far. The goal is unreasonable. It's not you not working hard. It's that we should make the goal smaller so that maybe it's easier for you to achieve it. But the issue with that is you'll never know what it's like to complete the marathon. You won't know the feeling. You don't get the reward. You don't get the pride. You don't get the joy. You don't get the fulfillment, right? That's why we live in a society where everybody's anxious and depressed and the list goes on, because you'll never know what it feels like when you get through the hard times. So, number 4, you may have, and a lot of people that work hard simply have the wrong definition of hard work, right? They feel burnt out, but that's because they're not sleeping well, they're not eating, they're not efficient, you know, they've never worked hard in their life. So, of course, a little hard work feels heavy, but it doesn't mean you're working hard. It just means, according to your life experience, you're working hard. So, you may not be doing what it takes to succeed, and you feel like the company's not rewarding that, but really it's just on you, right? Maybe not. Something to think about. Number 5, Number 5, the last point for today, and these are in no particular order. Number 5 is a misunderstanding of the free market. It's a misunderstanding of competition. It's a misunderstanding of commodities, right? All of these things, same idea. When you don't understand competition, when you don't understand the free market, you don't realize that what you're offering is what everyone else in your field is offering. You don't realize that maybe other trainers are offering a better service for less money. And so you walk around saying, hey, I'm not growing in this company. They're taking advantage of me. But the reality is, there's 100 other trainers trying to take your position. So the company has to really see something special in you to feel like what you have is so unique, so different, so specific, so much better that someone else can't also do it. And that's one of the big issues in personal training, right? It's one of the big missions that I have with this podcast, is to help you realize that you need to be a lot better at a lot of different things in order to compete. Because if not, if you do squats and lunges and high five, and the next 50 people do squats and lunges and high fives, what's the difference? So now, if you don't grow as a person, if you don't understand competition, if you don't understand that someone is on your tail trying to take your position, you have a misunderstanding of where you sit, right? You think I've got it made. You think I'm not going to get fired. You think I'm going to be in line with for promotions. I've got it, right? Like I'm a hot commodity. You're not. You might be easily replaceable, like I was saying earlier. And so if you don't have an understanding that this is a very competitive thing, it's the free market, right? The clients decide. If they pay for your services, then you're worth it. If they don't, then you're not. If the company pays you well, it's because you're worth it. If they don't, it's because you're not, right? Having an understanding of that is going to help you reflect on what you're actually doing, help you reflect on where you actually stand. Most trainers that I meet and that I've met over the last decade plus have a higher, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You guys might be thinking about it as I'm thinking about it, but they have a higher, like, I don't know, I guess like esteem than they actually are, right? They have a higher view of themselves, is what I'm trying to say. They have a higher view of their training services, of themselves, of their brand, than they actually have in the global scheme of things, right? In the free market, in the competitive nature of fitness, you're actually not differentiating yourself. right? But if you think too small, if you don't realize that it's a competitive thing, then you are misguided. You are missing the point. You are misinformed. You're not seeing things for what they really are. You don't realize that having a job and an opportunity as a personal trainer is a very great thing. But instead, trainers take it for granted. Oh, they're asking me to come in on the weekend. We start complaining, right? Oh, this person didn't buy. It's because they don't have money. It's because they're greedy. It's because they don't understand. We start pointing fingers instead of realizing being a personal trainer is being in the free market. And if clients sign up, it means there's something there. And if they don't, it means that there's not. And also, the type of client and how much they pay has a lot to do with it, right? Maybe you want to make, so much more money, but clients aren't willing to pay that to train with you. So if they're not willing to pay more to train with you, then where does the money to create the check come from, right? You have to think about the company and where they're at. If you're at the gym all day, but you only train 3 people and then another 2 people cancel tomorrow and another 3 people cancel the next day, where does your promotion come from? Right? So you have to understand that it's all a business. The gym is generating an opportunity, they're generating the leads, but you also have to realize this is very competitive. And people that don't realize how competitive it is miss the mark. They don't see why they're not growing in their career. And another reason why you may not be growing in your career is because there's simply too much competition and you're not doing enough to differentiate yourself. You're not doing enough to create a unique proposition, a unique selling proposition, a unique value to that individual. If you're not working on being better than the next person, being unique in whatever that is it in your service? Is it in your training? Is it in your programming? Is it in your marketing? Is it in how you make them feel? What is it? What is it that makes sure that you are staying just a little bit ahead of the competition? Because by doing that, now the company is going to value what you bring to the table. But if what you bring to the table is the same old thing that anyone else can bring to the table, then of course you're going to feel like I've been working hard, I've been here, I'm giving everything I got, and nothing's working out for me. Sure, you may be busy, but that doesn't mean you're busy growing. You're not busy giving better value, a better service. And so, sure, you've been training for a year, you've been training for 3 years, you've been with the company for a long time. But if there's no growth to differentiate yourself from other people, then why wouldn't a company replace you with someone who can do the job and do it for less, do a better job and do it for less, right? That's why you have to understand the free market, right? The meme said, you why do it for a company that would replace you tomorrow, or whatever it said. What did it say? Yeah, it would. The company would. Why give everything to a company that would replace you in a heartbeat? The meme says they would only replace you in a heartbeat if you're easy to replace. If you're hard to replace, then it's not so easy to replace you in a heartbeat. There's going to be some thought. There's going to be some communication. There's going to be a conversation before you get replaced because there's a value there, because there's a unique thing that you're giving to the company there. There's a lot of positive things that you're giving to a company. It's not easy to replace a great team, a team member. It's not. I'm telling you because I live it every day. If you're a great team member, if you bring that value, if you bring positivity, if you bring skills, if you bring hard work, if you bring likability, if you bring, a good understanding of hard work and humility in if you bring a lot, it's not that easy to replace people like that. It's actually very hard. This is what's interesting about understanding what we're talking about today. If you can simply not subscribe to that type of thinking and subscribe to the type of thinking that we're talking about today, you're actually going to stand out because most people don't make that switch. And then, so you either allow yourself to fall behind by falling into that type of thinking, or you understand the hack. And the hack is to become more and more irreplaceable. If you can do that, companies will at least think twice. They'll at least have a conversation with you. And more likely than not, and because this is what happens with me, the company gets ahead of it. They're like, you know what? Next year, we're going to bump up your rate. Why? Well, because I see what you're doing. You're a great team member. You're working hard. But most companies will open up opportunities for you. Hey, I was thinking we can do this with you. We can bump you up to the next level, get you do this, get you do that. The company will do it. Most companies will because they know this is the thing. People that run the companies know what it takes. So if they see that you have what it takes, they'll most likely not provide opportunities for you to keep growing. They want a good team member because good team members help the business grow. And they don't care about bad team members because bad team members just hold things back. So if you feel like you're easily replaceable, it's only because you don't have enough value in a company. If you have that value, you would not feel like you're going to be easily replaced. You would have confidence. You would have confidence that they're going to want to keep me around. So, a misunderstanding of the free market and competition. That's number five. All right. So that is today's episode, you guys. I got to get back to Sean here. He's messaging me, giving me an update on what's going on. Um, you guys, if you have your own questions to send in, you guys know I love making Q&A episodes. A lot of episodes have been Q&As lately because you guys are sending your questions. So whatever question you have, make sure you send it in, especially when you guys are new. There's a lot of things that maybe, you're wondering why is this happening, or why don't I have clients, or why did this person say this when I asked them to sign up with me, or whatever it is that you're running into, maybe a manager thing, whatever it is, just feel free to send in a question. I look them over. I have a whole separate email where it's just for the questions. That way I make sure that I don't miss them. They don't go into my general email, they go into a specific one so I can see your questions. So if you guys have questions, send those in. If you guys want to pick up um, a personal trainer shirt, I have just very simple personal trainer branded shirts that you can wear, like I always say, out and about, to start a conversation, to have, if you're waiting in line, somebody sees that you're a personal trainer, you're wearing that out. You're increasing the chances that somebody's going to have a conversation with you, ask you about fitness, ask you, if you can help them with something, or if you know something about whatever, and you can maybe set up a consultation or give them a free trial. So it's just a little extra thing you could be doing to open up the doors. Now, if you guys work at a gym, you probably have your own uniform. You don't have to worry about that. But if you are an independent trainer, you probably want to make sure that you have some gear. So, it's just there. If you guys want to go to personaltrainerhustle.com and do that, you can do that. It's just there as an extra resource for you guys in case you're like, you know what, I should start branding myself and just letting people know I'm a trainer. That's there. The question form is there if you want to send in a question. So those are the big updates. And that's it. Make sure you go to the website for any one of those things. And, we need to add more to that as well. But I also have my gym to run, our personal training gym out here in Culver City. So that's why I'm getting messages now. We got to get back to that. But you guys think about what we talked about today, and I will talk to you guys soon.